my god, the state of me, jeepers. So a little bit of Physio and Live with a difference this evening. I am a one-man band right now. Ollie is here, but he might not be joining me to answer some of these questions. So first of all, hi everyone if you're watching. This is episode 5 of #AskPhysioErinLive. So thank you very much to those who've sent in their questions. We've got them and we'll get to them very shortly. We have a very special episode this evening. So we're coming from our Barna Clinic in Galway, and Galway won the Liam McCarthy Cup a little bit earlier today, so it's a great weekend to be in Galway. First of all, congratulations to all of our Galway followers and to the Galway team. Big day for them today in Croke Park. Meanwhile, we've been working on our clinic, which is getting there. I'll show you around a little bit. Last minute bits going on here as we open in the morning. So if the drilling starts, I'll just stop talking and wait for it to stop. So yeah, Barna opens in the morning. Everything's going as normal in Donegal. Our Pilates kicks back in tomorrow, which is really exciting. So hopefully we're looking forward to getting back into our normal Pilates routine tomorrow as well. The tripod for the camera is in Aoife's house, in the camera bag, sitting beside the front door, which we forgot. So you'll have to just excuse my moving the camera. I'll try and hold it as still as I can. Okay, let's get into this. I'm just going to get up the first question. As we go along here, if there's any questions you'd like me to answer, just pop in the comments box or send us a private message and I'll do my best to answer them. And if I get stuck, Ollie's only around the corner, so he can help out if I need him. So first question. Okay, so alright, this one, I've been getting neck pain for a few weeks now. Nothing happened, came on gradually, and I'm getting pain down into my right arm, and my little finger and the one beside it is going numb and tingling. Any idea what's going on and what I should do to try and help it? Okay, so this question I think is around probably what is happening in the neck. We see these symptoms quite regularly. So what this patient is asking is they've got pain in their neck, down their arm, and they're starting to feel sensation change into their hand. The first thing that we would say here is do not panic. This is something we see regularly. And it is not serious, although can be very, very sore. So to kind of go through what's going on here, often people come in with these symptoms in the lower limb. So you heard of people talking about sciatica, where they can get pain in their back, pain down their legs, and pins and needles in their foot. Well, the exact same thing can happen up at the neck. So our nervous system is a bit like a tree. We've got our brain at the top, and then the trunk is like the spinal cord. And out of the trunk at every level comes nerve roots. So in our spine is made up of little building blocks, and where each building block joins, there's a little gap for the nerve to come out. So the nerves come out at every level, the whole way down. The ones at the neck come out, join together, and then split and go all the way down the arm until they innervate they go in right down to our fingertips. So the nerves that supply the muscles in the hand and the sensation in the hand come from the outside of the neck. Sorry, I'm covered in paint. It's hard to take myself seriously tonight. Anyway, so if you've got an irritation up here in the neck, then it can cause pain in the neck, down the arm, and cause sensation change into the hand. So what we would say is you probably need to find out what is going on to cause these symptoms. So a visit to your healthcare professional, we would recommend number 1. That's either your chartered physio or your GP to discuss these symptoms. As a general guide, if we see patients, I don't know what age this patient is, so maybe if you're listening you could just send us another message to let us know. If these patients are younger, so say, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and they're, again, I'd like to know what this patient's occupation is, because we generally see patients in their, 30 to 40s, maybe desk-based patients who come in with these very similar symptoms. And in these cases, much like it can happen in the spine, you can get a disc bulge in your lumbar spine that causes sciatica. You can also get these little disc bulges in your neck. Now, this term disc bulge is one that I don't really like at all, because discs are little pieces of cartilage, little shock absorbers that sit between the bones in our back. And all of us get little changes in these discs from time to time, particularly as we, a bit like our hair changes over time, so do the discs. They can get little tears on the outer ring, and what can happen is the center of the disc is not as hard as the outside. So the outside of these discs are really hard material, whereas the inside has got a bit more water content and is a little bit more movable. And just through normal daily life activities, we can get little tears on the outside, and that allows the inside material to slightly poke its way out. That is what people call a disc bulge, or they come in saying I have a slip disc, or these terms that really don't help it really, because all of us have these little bulges going on, just some people have symptoms with them. And the symptoms really is a case of whether you're unlucky enough for that bulge to come close to the big nerves that I was talking about that come out. So you've got a little gap for this nerve to come out, and if the disc bulge narrows that gap, then you can irritate the nerve. So you can get the nerve pain and the pins and needles in your hand, just like you can when it's coming from your back, go down your leg and into your foot. Very similar symptoms. So get back into the question here. If this person is, below 50 and they're having these symptoms, it's more likely that they've got disc problems causing it, or something else causing the narrowing. So check in with your healthcare professional and they can do a full assessment and guide you better. But as I said, this is not sinister or life-threatening. It definitely can be treated. If we're older, so 70s, 80s, and we're getting these symptoms, then it's usually more arthritic change in the little joints of the neck that narrows the space and again irritates the nerve. So if, in both cases, first of all, diagnosis is key. So a good assessment by a healthcare professional is completely adequate. You do not need a scan to diagnose this, because your symptoms are so obvious. You may as well, be coming in with a scan, because it's so classic. It's a classic presentation. We do get it scanned if it doesn't settle down, or if you're presenting with weakness in the hand that isn't getting better, then that definitely would be cases where we would get things scanned. So for this patient, in terms of treatment, first and foremost is get a correct diagnosis. Secondly then, sometimes medication can help. So I know when patients come in agony, because nerve pain can be very, very sore, they're usually not sleeping at night. We work with the GPs very closely to try and get their pain under control, sometimes with prescription medication for short-term use only, to try and get the pain down a level so we can start doing our rehab. In terms of then what rehab exercises we do for it, we normally start with movements of the neck that the patient can tolerate. So they'll normally come in, if it's right arm pain and pins and needles, they'll get really uncomfortable turning to the right. So we'll start just by doing some left rotation, keeping the neck moving. We might do some nerve stretches, and we might do some manual treatment around the neck to try and help. But we will combine that with a home exercise program, and the patient continues the exercises at home. And in most cases, we can have a good effect on these disc and nerve pains quite quickly. So I definitely would recommend that patient get in touch with their closest healthcare professional to get it assessed and get them on the right path. So in most patients, that's a nerve irritation, usually happening up and around the neck, that causes the tingling in the hand, and not to panic at all. It happens quite regularly, and it can be treated. Okay, hopefully that answers that. Turns out I'm still talking just as much without Ollie. Second question, and again, do pop in if you've got any questions for me, do pop them in the comment section and I'll do my best to answer them. Alright, let me find this. Okay, so I noticed if I skip in the morning, so 250 skips, my calf on the right leg gets sore later if I run for over 15 minutes. The calf tightens for a number of days. Any suggestions to avoid sore calves? So calf pain is common, and actually on Friday I had a call of someone who had Achilles tendon pain, which is the bottom of the calf. So just to kind of give you a bit of background on this, the calf is the muscle at the back of our leg below our knee. It's made up of two muscles. We have the soleus, well actually three if I'm being anatomically correct. There's a tiny little plantaris one, but the main one underneath, the lower layer, is called soleus, and then the bigger layer is your gastrocnemius, which is the one you can feel if you feel that muscle at the back of your leg. The calf, it really is a power muscle that gets us up off the floor. So if we're going up and down on our tippy toes, we're using our calf. We usually use it when we go up and down stairs. If we're jumping, hopping, skipping, running, we're using our calves. And calves are one that can tighten up and cause problems, and we often see in the football population that they get calf tears from the hopping and jumping and bounding with football, particularly if they haven't warmed up properly. So in this case, it doesn't sound like an acute muscle tear, because you wouldn't be doing your 250 skips if there was an acute tear in there, and you would feel it walking around. So I think in this case you probably do just have one calf that's not quite as strong as the other, and then that becomes symptomatic quicker. So that's very common, that one side of us will be weaker than the other. For this particular patient, yes, you can stretch it, and I can try and show you some stretches, but I think really here, because something is happening, you're fatiguing it with your skipping, and then later on if you go and run, it's tightening up on you. So for me, this is definitely a case of strengthening up those calves to tolerate the load that you're putting on it, because skipping and running, that's good going in a day. That's a lot of calf exercise. So really you just need some strengthening work so the calves will tolerate that new load. And what I would say is that back off very slightly. If you feel it tightening up, then stop. Walk. Break up maybe to a walk run, because if you persist on pushing through when you already feel it tightening and tweaking on you, then usually that runs into a calf strain. So at this stage we'd say just back your training down a little bit. Don't stop, just when you feel it, you know you need to back off, but definitely some calf strength work to add into the mix here. Now depending on your level, like a very simple calf exercise is on the floor, stand on one leg, so you're standing on your floor on one leg, and push up onto your tippy toes and back down. And really, depending on how strong you are, will depend on how many of them you do. So if you're fit and active, I would suggest, pushing it until you feel the calf really, really fatiguing. So up and down, up and down, up and down. You might do 15 of them, and you might even do 3 sets of that. So 15 reps, 3 sets. Is your calf fatigued at that level? If not, then go on to the edge of a step. So let your heel fall down off the edge of the step, and then push right up onto your tippy toes. Heel goes all the way down, push right up. Can you do 15 by 3 of those? If that's tough work, then you know, right, that's the level you need to be working at. And repeat that until the left leg feels like the right leg. And then hopefully that tightness won't feel as bad when you're running. While you're on the edge of the step, you can do a calf stretch where you just let the heel fall down, go right down until you feel it tight at the end of the calf, and then take the pressure off slightly. And do that before and after your run 15-20 times to stretch it out, but really the key here is strengthening. If your calf gets tight and sore when you're doing a single heel raise, it's too much for it, and start with double. So 2 feet on the floor, up and down onto your heels. And hopefully you'll start to feel the benefits of that. If you have any questions or it doesn't feel right, then always get it checked out. Our motto here, if in doubt, get it checked out by your healthcare professional. But really, I think in that case, calf strength, and that calf will feel a lot better. We would have patients come into us with similar symptoms, and they're doing stretching, I'm foam rolling, I'm stretching, it's still tightening. The missing bit is the strength work, because the calf is not tolerating the load you're putting on it. So hopefully that helps to answer that one. In some patients, the pain is further down, so it's not in the calf muscle, it's not tightening up. They've got pain right on what we would call the Achilles tendon. That's the string part at the bottom, and that's different to your muscle pain. That's more of a tendinopathy. And when patients come in with their symptoms down there, then we have to be really, really careful about picking apart exactly what has aggravated the tendon, because in most cases something has happened to spike their training or spike their load on their tendon, and they've ended up irritating the tendon tissue and causing themselves the tendinopathy. So examples are if somebody's not quite graded up their running, so maybe they do, sorry about the racket in the background, there is a lot going on here right now, I'll show you right in a second. I don't even know what he's at, the noise. Okay, I'm just going to keep talking. Hopefully you can hear me. So for example, say you normally do 5k, you're a 5k runner, you do road running 5k all the time, and then suddenly maybe a friend comes over to visit and you go off on a run, you get carried away and you've done a 10k. That spike in training would irritate the tendon tissue, the string-like part at the bottom, causing a tendinopathy, and that we'd manage differently. We'd really look at your training to try and offload it again and then build it up to try and tolerate that. So again, if you're having pain in that tendon area, it is worth checking in with your healthcare professional to guide your rehab, because they can be really tricky to calm down. Okay, we have another one in here. Muscles in thigh area tight after hip surgery. What do I do? Okay, so I'm going to assume this is tightness along the front of the leg after, not sure what type of hip surgery. If you're feeling tightness after surgery, first of all, it's extremely common. No matter what type of surgery we have, we can get tightness in our muscles afterwards. I think the first thing to do is to keep moving, make sure it doesn't stiffen up. If it's been a total hip replacement, then it can be hard to get it stretched out because it can be stiff after surgery. If it's been a scope or something smaller, then we often see it tighten up. So I think first and foremost, movement. Secondly, is you can try some thigh stretches. So one is where you're lying on your side, bringing your heel to your bum, and then pulling that knee back, stretching out the front of the leg. So side lying, get your hand around your ankle and pull back gently. Now don't force it, and as we say before, if in doubt, just get it double checked by someone, but that will be the first one you would do for tightness in the front of the thigh. So I'm rubbing my thigh here like you can see me. That's the easiest one to do. You can do it in standing as well, where you're standing up, getting your foot into your hand and pulling that knee back, but if that's a total hip replacement, you really won't manage that, it'll be too stiff. The other thing that you can do is just work on moving the leg. So side lying again, moving the leg back behind you as if you're kicking the leg out behind you, far as you feel you can. Then can you bend your knee, really stretch in the front of that thigh, and then relax it forward. Again, depending on what the situation is here, you can try foam roll in the front of it to see if it helps. But if it's stiff and sore, you've got to get it moving. All right, and if in doubt, get it checked out and they'll be able to guide you a little bit better. Okay, so let me show you around here because we're coming up to 5 to 9 and we have still got work to do. It's 9 o'clock at night. So I don't know if I can flip this around. I'm going to try and flip this camera around. Hopefully it still keeps going. Yes, good. Okay, so I'll show you outside first. This is live from Barna. Tunnel's drilling. They can't hear me with the traffic, but this is Main Street, Barna, and it's now dark, but that's the outside. Looks very similar to Donegal. And in the front door, I hate to say, but it's still actually all of the furniture is sitting in the Jeep out the back. It still has to come in, but we're very nearly there. So the theme is our normal theme: white walls, black skirting board, and that's the back door. So front and back, the light is great. We have one clinic room in there, and here's the help. There's Ollie. I missed Ollie. A lot of talking.
You did, I heard you. You didn't shut up.
Not like me. Shh, be cursing. So Ollie's putting the ceiling in. Toilet. We're very, very nearly there. She says at 9 o'clock at night before we open tomorrow. And this is clinic room 2. There's Cahill.
Hello. Who
we are very grateful to for all his help. And again, empty room, but everything is actually, look, it's pitch dark. Oh my god, this is out the back, and I don't know if you can see that, but like the reception furniture sitting there. Jeep is absolutely full of stuff. Might be locked. So yeah, busy night. So that is going to end our Physio live. Let me turn this back again. So I hope that was helpful. So nerve pain into the hand, pins and needles, don't panic. If you can't get the symptoms under control, get it checked out. Calf tightness, strength work all the way, and stiffness after surgery. Get that thigh stretched out if you can in side lying. Hope that helped. Again, any other questions, send them in to us via direct message. We'll be back next weekend. We'll be back in Barna again next weekend. Ollie is up the road now very shortly because he's got clinic in Donegal tomorrow. So yeah, big day for Physio Erin tomorrow. Thanks for watching, and I hope you find that helpful. Everybody say bye.
Bye.
Bye.